Hello, Trishi. How are you doing?
Hello, am I audible?
Yes, hello. I know you are a very regular
Hello, good
person. Thank you
evening.
so much for tuning in so regularly. Must appreciate.
I I love being here. I love being a part of the community. This is one of the only spaces where I feel comfortable talking freely, and it's an honor for me to speak with you. It truly is an honor. I've learned a lot. I've followed you, and I aspire to be a bit like you when I'm
Oh,
slightly
that's
older.
really sweet. But that's the thing. Like, I mean, the entire exercise of this was to create this space. So I'm glad it's working. I'm glad you're comfortable. It's big validation
Thank
for
you.
me. Yeah.
Okay, so I have a short answer and a long answer. What
Okay.
would everyone
So we
prefer?
are we are debating on wait. We are debating on coalition government is ideal, right?
Yeah,
Okay, so
yeah.
point number
I'm
8.
taking the negative.
Yeah, you are saying coalition government is not ideal.
Yep, it's not ideal.
Go on.
So, is are we doing like a format or is it just open?
Yeah, yeah, open. Like, bolo, bolo.
Okay, okay. So one of the biggest issues with the coalition government,
Hmm.
I'm looking at it majorly from a governance perspective because electoral politics is a churning pot. We all know people come and go, leaders come and go, parties come and go.
Hmm.
But from a governance and policy perspective, and obviously you know better,
Hmm.
but I would still like to debate you.
Go on,
I
go
will
on.
still
No,
take the negative and
absolutely.
say
I like we're peers here. Don't worry. Huh?
There is so much delay in passing bills. There are
Hmm.
policy gridlocks, and
Hmm.
it's so difficult to get things through because everything has more levels of permissions and approvals required.
Right.
So from a policy perspective, things are much slower in a coalition government.
Hmm.
And the issue is that, of course, unholy alliances. We see how Mamta is with NDA one day and then UPA one day, and those are the main reasons why coalition governments become unstable.
Right.
And I actually do
Just
have a
just to recap.
solution
Sorry, sorry.
for.
You said many things at the opening, so I'm just going to go one by one. Right. So the
Okay.
the third point you made was instability, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right, हाँ, एक second. I'm just going to recap. Just tell me if I got it correctly. So your argument is that in a coalition government there is a policy making is slower. B, there are like
Yeah.
situations of policy paralysis, etc., delays and gridlocks, right, which affect policy making, which is a
Yeah.
bad thing. And the third point you're
Yeah.
making is that there can, because of instability, the coalition ka instability, it can turn into a disaster. Basically, the government ka perpetuity will end.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And also ideologies don't match in a lot of
ideologies
cases.
don't match. Okay, cool. Okay, so right. So which one do you want to take first? Let's look at the policy paralysis, slower bill delay, all the things.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, let's go. So, your argument is that policy paralysis is a thing, which means in a coalition government, because there are so many people who are opinionating and debating, and so many like sort of bottlenecks to agree towards agreement and passage of a law, which means that you have to convince
Yeah.
so many people at the same time for a law to be passed, so it is slower, right?
Yeah.
So why is that bad?
It is bad because we know that in alliances, it's always the junior partners that benefit more than the majority partners or the larger partners. So the junior partners, because
Hmm.
they know that their coalition is not long term,
Hmm.
they use that opportunity to extract as much money, as much power, as much information as possible when they are in the government.
But
So, for
you're
example,
thinking you're thinking from the perspective of political party. If you think from the perspective of a citizen, right? The benefit of a proper law being passed is for the citizen, right?
but it's not because it's always from the perspective of the legislator or party because no law is passed unless the party or whichever party is in power see benefit from it, see electoral benefit
No,
from it.
okay.
So
Let's
anyway,
let's
everything is
let's
like
focus on the word slow policy making, right? Because what
yeah,
your essential argument is that in a coalition policy making is slower or sometimes not at all. I don't agree
not
with
at
the.
all. Slow is not the problem. Slow is
Okay,
not at all the problem. It's the fact that things don't get they're diluted so much
but
because
that is a
let's
good
say
thing, right?
one.
No, I don't understand why that's a bad thing.
Okay, so if I have to elaborate, I
Yeah,
will say, let's say a policy is well constructed.
correct.
The larger partner in the coalition constructs the policy, and they go through stakeholders, whatever, and then they pass it around their alliance partners, and their alliance partners aren't okay with one or two things
Correct.
because it will negatively affect them electorally in their own state or something. Then
Right.
they will hold it back. They will say, no, we're not going to vote for this. We reserve the right to vote against your bill.
Which is
So
fair,
that
right?
even if the policy is good, it exposes it to being voted against in parliament
Oh,
because
absolutely.
it might hurt someone.
So here's the thing. Okay, it's a very good point, but that I think is a feature, not a bug. Because, for example, let's take at regional parties. Like I have been a part of like situations like UPA 2 के time पे या फिर even Modi 1.0 के time पे where the BJP needed support from the regional parties that I was working with. I've never worked with a national party. I always worked with regional parties, right? NCP के साथ या TMC के साथ या फिर BJD के साथ. And you're absolutely correct when you say that there are some deal makings that happen in the middle, right? For example, GST
Yeah.
के law में, I'm just giving a vague example. Let's take Motor Vehicles Act, right? Motor Vehicles Act, if
Okay.
you're going to pass it, let's say BJD का एक, like the Naveen Patnaik, he doesn't like point number 4, 6, and 7 in the bill, right? Now, what he does is
Right.
he goes to Modi and he says that, listen, if you don't change this, I'm not going to agree with this, right? So, what is Modi's job here is to basically either try to convince Naveen Patnaik and his party that these are good things, or Naveen Patnaik convinces him that these are bad things. And then amendments are brought in and that is changed, which means BJD now supports the law because it is reflecting the needs of what the BJD wants. Right now, you can argue whether those are representations based on what the people want. True, might or might not be, but there is a chance that people ka actual needs and in policy making are better reflected in this situation because the regional party has a say at least, right? In a majority government,
What would you say is the percentage that is a lawmaker or a regional party's interests are aligned? What would you say is the percentage where the intentions are clean?
how would you quantify it? Honestly, it would be based on the situation, right? It also is based on the situation of the central government, by the way. For example, if the union government in a coalition, like let's say the majority party in a coalition is desperate to pass a law, it is one of their main promises, right? They know that if they are not able to pass this, they are screwed in the next election, right? And who is holding them back is one or two regional parties, right? So what is the option there? They have to figure out a way to negotiate with them, debate with them in a way to bring them on their side, at least with this one policy, or drop the clauses that they are not okay with, which will dilute the law, right? And you have a problem
Or
with the dilution.
strong arm them into agreeing.
Also good point, they can strong arm them into agreeing also, but then if it's a majority government, it's easier to strong arm them into agreeing versus a coalition government because they will just be like मैं तो support खींच लेगा, government गिर जाएगा तेरा, तो they won't be able to strong arm that much also, right?
Makes sense.
And
Makes sense. Yeah.
fun thing that happened, like again, I'm not giving you specifics because I'll get into trouble. There were these situations
Yep.
where some small party, right, like regional party, like with 5-6 members, would go to a party with a little bit more members, which is like 20 members. Even if that party basically is not really interested in, like arguing with the government on a particular bill, rokna nahi hai, this small party and the state that they are in power will have a deal with the other party, the smaller party, and they will then start opposing it. Because there is a three-way deal happening now between the parties, right? So not only
Oh
is
my
one state
God. Oh
benefiting,
my God.
two are benefiting, right? Now imagine if all the coalitions come together as a block, right? Smaller regional parties, and they form like this protest block against a bill, let's say the farmers bill, right? If it comes back in a coalition government and there is a block of these regional parties who are stopping it, right? A situation like farmers protest will never happen. Modi will either have to back down completely or bring in a bill which will break this dreadlock. Does that sound fair? Or
That does make sense.
yes. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Next point. Next point is Instability.
Yes.
Go on. Instability. What do you think?
Oh, okay. So instability, I mean, we've seen it historically, we've seen it in not just in India, in so many multi-party democracies or countries that pretend to be multi-party democracies, but technically have just one national idea of how the government should work. Anyway, so the problem is, let's say there is an alliance forged, let's say a post-poll alliance.
Right.
And it is an unholy alliance of parties that have completely diametrically opposing ideologies.
Yes.
The problem with that is, the problem with that is during the election, both these parties will refrain from campaigning on core issues that they disagree on. For example, Aam Aadmi Party, Congress, whoever it may be. And then when they do come to power, the larger partner, let's say, I mean, okay, I'm not going to take names, but the larger partner, let's say, they want to deliver on something. It will cause
Let's take
issues.
names in this case
And-
because it will become more clearer. Like, I mean, still, bolo.
Okay, so let's say there is, I mean, I don't recall right now, let's say there is a huge policy that the Congress wants to bring in, but the Aam Aadmi Party or TMC are not okay with. And it hasn't been spoken of already. And they haven't spoken about it because they're like, whatever, election ke baad dekh lenge. And then they disagree. And then the coalition splits. It breaks apart. And then it'll be kharidofying, buy MLAs, buy MPs, all that. The whole thing will start again.
Correct.
And either fresh elections happen or an illegal government will come to power. And that is more likely to happen when there is an alliance of non-like-minded parties, which lands up happening in India.
But
So
that's
my
not
issue,
necessarily a bad thing, honestly speaking. Like, I think the one assumption that you're running with is that political parties have ideologies at all. I mean, sure, there are some core ideologies which are okay with their core base voters. For example, Shiv Sena. Let's take Shiv Sena. So Shiv Sena, before the split, was a proper Hindutva party, which is even more right-wing than the BJP
Yeah.
of Atal Bihari era. Right?
Exactly.
Bala Saheb Thackeray and what he says was very radical. Right? Now, we are in a situation where Uddhav Thackeray and his son and all the things, they're quite liberal. Right? And also, like, the Kattar part of their party moved away and went into BJP because now they are more aligned with the BJP than these people were earlier, like, or currently are with the BJP, right? Now, if you look at it, think about it this way, right? Which is the unholy alliance, the word you used, which is, let's say, NCP and Shiv Sena and Congress and an Aam Aadmi Party coming together. That's crazy. If you look at it, that's crazy,
Yeah.
right? How did this happen? Like, ideologically, how is this even possible, right? Because they don't have ideologies. NCP though definitely doesn't have an ideology. It's just a no-brainer. Shiv Sena,
Yeah.
I think, is in a situation where it can't afford to have an ideology. Right? Aam Aadmi Party also cannot afford to have an ideology, but they still are having a very basic ideology of focusing on education and healthcare. Right? Then if you look at Congress, their ideology is a shifting ideology, right? They're like an umbrella party which wants to get all of these people together
Yeah.
into So that is their ideology. So, but it is in the current environment. Right. So, how can you say this? Like, or who can say this that Nitish Kumar will not turn again? That means an entire
Yeah.
party turning.
Before assembly elections.
Yeah. Like, and
Yeah.
like, there is this another thing, no? Ki, let's say they don't do well in this one, the central elections. Hamare Mindhe, what they call him? Shinde sir ki jo Shiv Sena hai, the OG Shiv Sena apparently, whatever. They don't do well in the central elections, right? There is a stark, noticeable damage that they cause in Maharashtra, assume, right? Do you think that party will survive then? BJP will just be like, oops,
No.
oops, we dropped you. No, we don't want to do shit with you. Now, Shinde can't go back to Shiv Sena, the Uddhav Shiv Sena, which is now a completely rebranded party. By the way, they did them a favor, I feel like. Because already when Aditya and this one were doing like liberal stuff, everybody was like, Shiv Sena jaise nahi lag raha hai ye. So now, they have a new symbol. It's a completely new party. They did them a favor. So they will thrive then.
True, that does make sense. But the one feature of this that we won't see now, we'll probably see a little later, is that people are being forced to vote for parties that have done a lot of things against their community or their identity or them individually. For example, like okay, I will take names because I am mad. I'm a little mad at this thing,
Go
but
on.
I will take names. For example, Kanhaya did not say much during the 2020 riots. He was relatively silent. He himself was going through a career change or shift or whatever.
Correct,
And
correct.
now he is a candidate in the very same place that we went through all of that trauma. And now people are forced to vote for him because there is no other alternative. And Muslim people, Muslim community in Mumbai and other areas where Shiv Sena UBT is strong, are being forced to vote for Shiv Sena UBT. We saw visuals on Twitter where Muslim people were campaigning for Shiv Sena with the gamcha, the orange gamcha. That, and it seems funny, but it is sad because it means that you're forced into voting for people that have done things that you don't agree with, and you don't really have a choice. And a majority of people will end up voting for the opposition just because there is nobody else better than
Oh,
them or
absolutely.
whatever.
And that
So
is absolutely valid argument, right? Valid like description of the lesser evil argument, I feel like.
yeah.
Yeah. Here's the thing though. Okay. Let's say Aam Aadmi Party le lete. Aam Aadmi Party during the Delhi riots, their behavior was very shady. I was also wondering ki what is happening here, right? So, and then that is when that whole soft Hindutva tag came in on them, right? Which is like they're not doing anything, they're not.
Exactly.
And then weird thing happened, which is one of their MLAs, I forget his name, Tahir. Chat, please tell me the name of the MLA who was accused of the Delhi riots. Like there were like people on his rooftop who were throwing stones, and there were like videos going crazy, and how Aam Aadmi Party has engineered this whole riot thing. It forced them to basically react to it and also condemn it, right? So basically in BJP's excitement of finding an opportunity to attack Aam Aadmi Party, they actually make them react, right? Tahir Hussain, yes, thank you, CANC. Tahir Hussain was the one. So my thing is that, even if a party is being shady, right, it is possible to hold them accountable, right? Where people have been constantly questioning, "Ki, why aren't you talking about this? Why aren't you talking about this? Why aren't you talking about this?" Your problem though is that now they are getting rewarded for it. Is that your issue?
Could you repeat your last sentence?
No,
I
no.
couldn't
I
hear
mean,
you.
your problem is that even if they did nothing for it, like during the Delhi riots, if we take it, Aam Aadmi Party, your issue is that Muslims are forced to vote for Aam Aadmi Party candidates still because they are the lesser evil.
Huh. Uh, that's one case. Yeah, there are other cases also
Of course,
where you have
but
to vote for the.
essentially what you're saying is that look, I mean, think about it this way, right? There is the known threat and there is the unknown threat, right? If you're thinking of it completely on the lines of religion and persecution, right? If there is a known threat, which is the BJP, who is the prime minister, is going and तुमको गाली मार रहे हैं, तुम्हारे community को गाली मार रहे हैं, तुम्हारे community को divide कर रहे हैं. It's very obvious what they're trying to do.
And
All through, like
yeah.
throughout the leadership rather. The second is Aam Aadmi Party, who does things like Delhi government sponsors Hanuman Chalisa reading. Did you see that? There was literally a Delhi
Yeah.
government sponsored function that they did. Like Ram Mandir ke time pe kuch to bhi kiya
Yeah,
tha
and the
उन्होंने.
Tirth Yatra scheme that they
Yeah.
have.
Tirth Yatra scheme, all the things, right? So they don't actively go out and do like this division thing, which means that they're an unknown threat. Like at this point of time, they cannot afford to be that outrightly radical, right? I'm not saying they will never become that. I feel like they are in a position where they can't afford to become that, right? But BJP has reached a stage where they can afford to do that, where they know that there is a consistent base of voters they have which will respond to such radical thoughts, right? And they are their core voter base. So they're doing it. So in a way, when you are thinking of survival, which one would you prefer?
I mean, lesser evil, but
Yes.
it's still evil.
It is, yes, nobody is denying that. But then you also have to try not to discount other factors, which is, and I think we get too myopic about just people voting based on religion. It's not true. I feel like a large majority of the people in India still don't vote on religion, right? Caste, yes. caste is way more important than religion according to me when people vote, like हमारे जाति का आदमी है etc. But the other thing that people genuinely vote on are welfare. राशन मिल रहा है क्या? By the way, government experiences also. Like if their general government experience of dealing with the police, dealing with the patwari and dealing with like random people or government officials they meet on a day-to-day basis has changed drastically, that actually makes a lot of people vote for that party which is in power. Because obviously on a day-to-day basis, पहले के पार्टी में हरास करता था, अब के पार्टी में हरास नहीं करता है, राइट? सो दैट विल बी टेक मोर प्रेसिडेंस रादर देन ओ ये मुझे हरास करता है क्योंकि मैं मुस्लिम हूँ या फिर कि मैं हिंदू हूँ, मुस्लिम, वट एवर द सिचुएशन मे बी. सी, सो द रीजन वाई पीपल वोट इज वेरी डिफरेंट, right? The priorities that they set in their minds are also very different, right? Some people might vote based on religion, but they're not all people, right?
Yeah. But just to add one last thing, even a pre-poll alliance is slightly better, I would say. But a post-poll alliance is something the people did not vote for. For example, in 2018 in Karnataka, my state, everybody here was so mad. They were so mad when the JDS decided to go with the Congress suddenly for no reason, because that was the magic number required. And there was also this whole situation where BJP was the single largest party, so they decided, and they had the public support at the time, they had the sympathy at the time, so they were just 2 MLAs short of forming government, 2 or 3. So they went ahead, spoke to the governor, and Yediyurappa was sworn in as the chief minister, and he was given the chance to prove his majority.
Correct.
Okay, so basically the point is, a post-poll alliance is especially, it goes against the spirit of democracy, is what I think. And also one last point, I know I'm taking up a lot of time, but one last point is, now when the whole women's reservation, somebody has to bell the cat or whatever. So
wait,
in 2029,
before you move to that,
whenever
can I quickly respond to the first one you made? Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, so the first one that you made, post-poll alliances, I do not like them either, but I also believe that people punish them later. Like maybe not in the very next election, but eventually the punishment comes where that unholy alliance has somehow screwed them over. Because that is exactly what is happening in Maharashtra right now, I think, and that is exactly what is happening with Nitish Kumar in Bihar also. And it happened in Karnataka to a large extent. Uttar Pradesh also, yes.
Yeah, and also, today we saw videos of Baspa voters and Baspa poll agents saying, we will be voting for Congress, we don't like Mayawati going with the
Precisely.
Yeah.
So punishment comes eventually. थोड़ा धीरे आता है, but आता है. Yeah. The second
so the
point,
last point. Yes, I'll quickly just repeat it. I don't want to take too much time.
Yeah.
So, for example, the women's reservation bill that will eventually have to come to parliament, and eventually the debate has to happen and all of that. Let's say, for example, so even things like that are coming in the future, so many parties can take advantage of that, or so many parties can be against it. For example, if a local party, or what are they called, regional parties, if a regional party isn't ready to implement the women's reservation bill, and it's a part of the India Alliance, let's say the India Alliance government comes into power, and it's a part of the alliance, they might withdraw support and say, hey, you can't pass this bill right now, we don't have the ability to follow through with it, and if you insist on passing it now, then we will withdraw support, and then the bill will lapse, and there won't be any movement on
but it has already been passed. Like, I mean, the women's reservation bill has already been passed. Implementation नहीं हुआ ना अभी तक.
That, I'm sorry, that's what I meant.
Yeah.
So, for example, hypothetical. So that's what I mean by delays. So something that has to be done like 10 years, that should have been done 10 years ago, could be pushed 10, 15, 20 years into the future because there isn't agreement or there is political churning.
You know, the thing is, let's take UCC for example. Right, UCC is one of the big things that the BJP wants to do now, which is like they need 400 par because they want to like have a uniform civil code. Modi ji gives like many examples of Goa and Uttarakhand and whatever. That is one of their big agendas now, right? Now, let's say in a situation like UCC, if there is a majority government, the Modi government will be able to pass it, right? 400 par. Let's assume उनके पास 400 par है, right? But I don't trust the Modi government to pass it. I don't trust that they will make a good law. Right? I would rather have a coalition government, which let's say it's a 10-year government. Like, hota hai jhagda, right? As long as so in a coalition government, listen, when people are in power, the coalition in power, people don't lightly take the withdrawal part very lightly, okay? Like, because once you withdraw, not only will the main party lose power, but you're also losing power with them. The government is collapsing, right? You are also a part of it. So nobody wants to like also lose that, right? So it's a very serious thing to withdraw that support, right? It should be like a massive breaking point that they have reached where they will be like, nahi, ab to isse zyada kuch nahi ho sakta, right? Then the second point is that in a coalition government, what will happen is, let's say BJPI next time, right? But not in majority. They have a coalition, which is like an NDA coalition. What will happen, and this is the fun part which I want to look at, they might still bring in a UCC. But I feel that BJP in a coalition will be able to pass a better UCC than they would be in a majority. Because now there would be other players who would have leverage. They would have leverage on the BJP to make changes in the law according to what is reflected in their population and their areas of power, which is state level, whatever, right? State governments can pressurize them even more to basically have like a more inclusive law, which means it will become slower. The passage time becomes slower because itna discussion or debate karna padega unko bar. It will take years, which is great, right? Which might also mean that the next government that comes in might also be discussing UCC, which I don't have a problem with, right? Then उसके बाद जो government आएगा, let's say it's a majority government. GST के साथ वही हुआ ना? GST has been discussed since 2005, right? Changes कर करा के finally मोदी जी का जो majority government उन्होंने जो भी pass कर दिया, right? Now Congress will come back and make reforms into it. Pass हो गया है, reform करेंगे, right? So it takes 10 more years in coalition discussion for the UCC to be done. Then another majority government comes, they implement it in whatever way they want. But then now this will be reformed. So it will take a long period for the UCC to actually become like an ideal law. And even then, you don't know how people will be thinking 20 years down the line. So it will keep changing then also. So
basically, coalition governments make sense if they follow a majority government. Like if they come after, it's like putting a band-aid on.
I feel like I always say this: like Parliament is a reflection of the people, right? Modi ji is a reflection of the people, right? Modi ji, if you look at all of his qualities, brands, whatever, right? This is basically the uncle government, WhatsApp uncle government, right? Any WhatsApp uncle you see who gets who is like super hard-ons when people say dictator, right? Those are the people who have elected this guy. Those are the people who are the loudest supporters of this guy. They are a reflection of this crowd of people, right? So if you think about it, once this crowd loses relevance, Modi loses relevance. So some other people will gain relevance. There will be a void created. So if the coalition government, if you want to look at it, it is a reflection of the people, right? Which is essentially people think that their regional voices are being suppressed, their identities are being suppressed, may it be caste identities, may it be religious identities, may it be whatever identities. So they would want a government that reflects that in parliament, which means in a diverse country like India, coalition was the only option. See?
Yeah, that does make sense.
You are a very enjoyable person to debate with. I have to tell you that, Trisha. Yeah.
Thank you. That means a lot. I just have one last thing. I actually came into this debate with a solution in mind, with a proposed solution, because I don't want to just debate without reaching a conclusion.
Go on.
So one electoral reform, I think that we really badly need is putting term limits on the Prime Minister's office.
Oh, yes.
I think if we do that,
absolutely,
then
100% agree.
Yeah.
100% agree. And also, I think we should write it in law that there needs to be like a separate voting by the parliament to elect the prime minister. And
Yes,
it should be a
parliament.
secret voting. It should be secret voting. Like, so it basically, the prime minister is essentially kind of a reflection of the majority party right now. So majority party select karke bana dega types, right? You know, but what I think is the prime minister should also be a reflection of the parliament in general. So there will be a consensus candidate which the entire parliament will have to pick. And it should be like a like 50% plus vote essentially, right? And of course, that person should have term limits. ये bullshit नहीं चलेगा कि तुम 15 साल 20 साल रूल करते रहो. That just doesn't make sense to me. It's so bizarre.
Yeah, even at the state legislature level,
Oh,
basically
absolutely.
reclaiming legislation.
Absolutely. Like Naveen Patnaik for like what now, 25 years?
Exactly.
Ridiculous, 24 years.
Yeah,
Yeah.
25.
I was working in Sikkim. Pawan Chamling was there since Sikkim became a part of India only. No, 90s se saath, sorry, not that. 90s se Pawan Chamling. 25 years. Ridiculous. No opposition. Right? It was crazy. Like the
That's
amount of
crazy.
things we could do in that tiny state as SDF, because I was working with the ruling party, was crazy. Like कोई मतलब इतना अनफेटर्ड पावर था ना, तो कभी भी डर लगता था कि भैया थोड़ा ज्यादा ही पावर नहीं दे रहे हो हमको. Like, and if you look at what West Bengal में CPIM government, so long, what is this? People get outdated, man. Why are they there?
That
Yeah.
does make sense. I have a question for you.
Yeah.
In your personal experience, do you think coalition governments are more responsive because they're constantly on edge and they're trying to maintain the majority?
Yes.
Or do you
Yes.
think singular majoritarian governments are
I
more
feel like
responsive?
I
in
feel
your
like
opinion?
coalition governments are beautiful because they are fighting with each other all the time. I have a very large theory around this, that if the government is incompetent and useless, the bureaucracy is incompetent and useless, people take shit in their own hands and work harder to make things happen. Uh, so because if it's a majority government, they're like, अरे मोदी जी सब कर रहे हैं ना, but मोदी जी कुछ कर नहीं सकते honestly, because it's crazy to do things in this country. So coalition government, people were like, अच्छा झगड़ा देख के they get tired, हाँ ठीक है, let them do whatever, we will do our own thing, and इसीलिए GDP बढ़ता है. Like बिजनेस तो हमको ही करना पड़ेगा ना फिर. It's like, ये तो कुछ कर नहीं रहे, पास ही नहीं हो रहा है. So, but yeah, thank you so much, Trisha. I have to say bye bye to you, and thank you for
Thank you
coming.
so much. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry for taking up so much time, but it means a
No,
lot. It's been
absolutely,
an honor.
absolutely. Thank you so much. I've been wanting to talk about coalition governments for a while, so this was, thank you for this.
Thank
Okay.
you so much. Good night, chat. Good night, everyone.
Good night. Bye. Jatin, Trishi has restored my hope in younger generation. I must also give you that sentiment back, Trishi. Absolutely. You're a good debater, I must say. Very good. Very good. Good. I like these kind of conversations.